US President Donald Trump has signalled he's open to changes to his proposals for ending Russia's war in Ukraine. He's pressuring Ukraine to accept the agreement by next Thursday. Delegates from the US and Ukraine, as well as France, Britain, Germany and the EU, are meeting in Geneva today to discuss the plan. Western leaders say they accept the proposal as a basis for further negotiations, but that more work is needed. Well, talks between the US, several European countries and Ukraine are set to take place in Geneva later today. That's where DW's Jack Parrock is. Jack, I believe there's a long delay on the line, so let's be patient with each other here. From a place where history has been made before, let's start by talking about the purpose of these talks, about the so-called US peace plan for Ukraine.
Well, what they're hoping is that they can move forward and find a way through this, essentially, not just related to Ukraine, but also to find a way through the Europeans' position related to the United States' position. When the 28-point peace plan was announced, there was, frankly, shock in Europe, especially among some of the major powers who were really concerned about the concessions that it seemed to give to Russia, many of them saying that this looks like a Russian wish list, especially when it came to ceding territory, Ukrainian territory, and also demands on the NATO military alliance and the reduction of the Ukrainian military. Many of these things were not considered okay. So then we have the meetings coming here in Geneva. Now, there's a lot we don't know about these meetings. Firstly, will they all be held in the same place? We don't know yet. Many of the participants are flying in hurriedly and we'll have to find a way in which they're going to do the choreography of this. And Radio Free Europe, for instance, is reporting that the European partners, so what are known as the E3, which is France, Germany and the United Kingdom, but also Italy and potentially some representation from the European Union, that they will meet with the Ukrainians, and then separately the Ukrainians will meet with the Americans, but that the Europeans and the Americans won't all be in the same room together, which seems quite uncommon. But it seems that the Americans want to try and get the ear of the Ukrainian negotiators and are really trying to pull them around to the US plan.
OK, now I believe Marco Rubio has been speaking as well. Jack, what has he had to say pre these meetings?
Yeah, so we know that Marco Rubio is going to be attending, probably the most senior of the American attendees, along with some others, including Stephen Witkoff. But yeah, Marco Rubio tweeted, say that the peace proposal was authored by the US. It's offered as a strong framework for ongoing negotiations based on input from the Russian side, but also on ongoing input from the Ukrainian side. Now, this is the real concern. The input from the Russian side is something that just is unacceptable to, firstly, Ukraine, but also the European partners who do not in any way, and you hear them repeatedly say this over the years, let alone in the last few days, they say that the aggressor, which is Russia, which invaded Ukraine, cannot be rewarded with its demands from the beginning of the war for waging the war, that would set a very dangerous precedent internationally. So we'll have to wait and see. Will Marco Rubio be able to sort of persuade the European side over in any sense? We have heard from some German diplomatic sources to say that there has been something of a counter plan. Haven't seen it, don't know what's included in that at all, but it appears that the Europeans are coming to Geneva with a sort of counter proposal to this American 28-point peace plan, which already heard, Donald Trump said is seen, for him even, as a starting point. So it looks like there's possibility to change this around.
A lot of scrambling going on, Jack. That said, everyone there's got experience at dealing with the Trump factor, including yourself, but there is this deadline. How seriously are negotiators taking President Trump's Thursday deadline to reach an agreement here?
Well, they're definitely taking it seriously because it's something that he's laid down. But as anybody who has followed these sort of diplomatic talks knows, deadlines are sort of human inventions that can always be moved and shifted, and temporary agreements can be put in place before the main agreement gets made. But they are the fact that everybody is arriving here in Geneva, getting into these talks, that shows that they are taking it seriously, I think.
One more before we go. Is it even possible to come to an agreement on ending the war in Ukraine without Russian involvement there?
Yeah, that's the real big question, and probably not. But this peace plan, I mean, a lot of people are saying that Trump's peace plan probably wouldn't require the Russians to come to any talks. They'd just sign off on it because it's exactly what they wanted. We know that the Russians aren't attending the Geneva peace talks this time, but perhaps these talks could lay the ground for future meetings where the Russians could be involved.
DW's Jack Parrock on the shores of Lake Geneva. Thanks so much.